I'm live. I'm reading a new book, Gay Hendricks, 5 Wishes. I've already read the foreword and the introduction, and I have read the first wish, which was for love, lasting love. After this, we have an interlude before we come to the second wish. And he starts here, interlude. Then along came a miracle. A miracle happened not long after I made my body and soul commitment to Kathleen. And I believe the miracle was made possible by that deep commitment. As the love grew between us, we saw over and over that the power of commitment brings to the surface the deep fears, old wounds, and habit patterns that need to be released in order to give and receive love fully in the present. In the process of making my first wish come true, I came face to face with a barrier that seemed insurmountable. In finding a way through this impasse, a breakthrough occurred that gave me a remarkable tool for transformation. It's a tool I've organized my life around ever since. I'd like to tell you what happened so that you can understand the tool and put it to work for yourself. When I had the conversation with Ed that started all this, I'd been involved for a couple of years in a struggle over a house. It was a house I didn't want but couldn't let go of. In fact, it was a house I'd never wanted to buy in the first place. Carol, the woman I was with at the time, had taken a major fancy to it, but I thought it was ugly and too expensive. I eventually gave in to her wishes, mainly because I wanted her to be happy. In those days, I was under the woefully mistaken impression that things like real estate could make people happy. Later, I would come to see that buying an ugly house I didn't want was a way to avoid facing an even uglier truth lurking inside me. I didn't want to be in a relationship anymore. Finally, I left the relationship, but the house became a source of conflict that dragged on and on. When Carol and I split up, we had accumulated an amount of equity well over $100,000 in today's money. I wanted her to buy my half or sell the house so that I could get my money out. She wanted to keep living in the house, but only had 10,000 of the 50,000 she needed to buy me out. Stalemate. And so it dragged on for months, then a year. Each month I'd go through one of life's least fun experiences, having to make my half of the payment for a house I didn't like and didn't live in. I felt the pinch even more as my relationship with Kathleen deepened. When we began living together, all we could afford was a tiny rental. From the moment we moved in, we couldn't wait to move out of it. The only person who seemed to be happy was Carol. She got to live in a house she liked and only had to pay for half of it. As time wore on, the minor satisfaction of making Carol happy dwindled and devolved into bitter envy. Bitterness and envy were 2 emotions I didn't spend much time feeling in my life, and I didn't wear them well. One day I was full of angry thoughts about Carol and the house, and to soothe my fevered mind I sat down to meditate. During meditation I was visited by a revelation. An image popped into my head of a river flowing around a boulder. In that image was embedded a powerful insight. Money is really only a form of energy. I realized that my attachment to getting what I was entitled to was a massive energy block, a boulder in the flow of my river. I was holding on to a house I didn't want until Carol came up with the full 50,000. By doing that, I was blocking my own energy flow and, in a twisted sort of way, staying attached to Carol. A radical question formed in my mind. What if I simply gave her my half of the house for whatever she could pay. I wondered if this act of giving would free up the energy flow, so that the money would come my way through some other means. It seemed like an outrageous idea when viewed through the filter of logic, but it seemed so intuitively right that I decided to act on it. Later that day I told Kathleen what I'd realized. She gulped when I told her I was going to let go of the house because it represented my only tangible asset at the time. However, she immediately understood the money is energy inside and agreed that letting go of the house was the right way to go. I called Carol's attorney and asked him if she still had the $10,000. He said she did. Okay, I said, I give her my half for the 10 grand. You will? He sounded astonished and skeptical. Yep, I said. She likes the house and deserves to live in it. I'll make the 40,000 some other way. He asked me what I meant, and I explained my insight about money and energy. He listened politely, although I imagine he thought I was either crazy or on drugs. I'll draw up the papers right away, he said. Almost as soon as the ink was dry on the deal, I began to experience a new level of abundance in my life. A book contract came through, along with a substantial offer for a long-term consulting contract with, believe it or not, the US Army. They wanted me to help bring innovative counseling to the staff of their drug and alcohol treatment programs. When all was said and done, I ended the year with well more than the 40,000. I'd given away in the 40,000 I'd given away in the house deal. Best of all, Kathleen and I found a wonderful new home in the neighborhood we wanted to live in. All ended well. For Carol, too. She got married to a man who liked the house just fine. The most important part for me was receiving the gift of a miracle that had lasting consequences in my life. In addition to understanding how the world of energy actually works, I also got a powerful tool for navigating through the new world. I learned that any significant incompletion acts like a boulder in a river. The river has to flow around it to get where it wants to go. One or two boulders may only hinder the flow, but pile up a few more and you start to dam the river. But pile up a few, it doesn't take long for that dammed river to overflow its banks and get diverted towards a completely different destination. The way to get the flow going in the right direction again is by completing any significant incompletion. The act of completing something, particularly if it has an emotional charge, is a remarkable, powerful way to increase your abundance of love, money, and health, and anything else that's important to you. You really have to see it and feel it to believe it, and that's what I'd like to explore with you next. So I'm going to read the second wish another time. Today is the 20th of August.